I was sitting in the car, waiting for my wife to finish up at the pharmacy, just sitting there looking out at nothing in particular. And then I saw them, two men in dark suits, carrying flowers, walking slow across the parking lot toward a funeral home I didn't even know was there. And something shifted in me. For the first time in my life, I didn't just think about death. I thought about my funeral, my actual funeral, the room, the people, what they'd say or wouldn't say. And I felt something I wasn't ready for. My name's Arthur. I'm 80 years old, and I've spent most of my life avoiding that thought, like most of us do. But once it shows up, it doesn't really leave. It just sits there quiet, waiting for you to be honest with it. Now, I'm not saying this to be morbid. I'm not trying to bring anyone down. But I think somewhere around our age, this thought finds all of us. And when it does, it brings something with it. Something bigger than fear. It brings the question, did I matter? Not in some grand way, not like leaving behind a fortune or a name in the paper, but in the small ways, the real ways. Did the people I loved feel loved? Did I show up when it counted? Did I waste too much time being angry or distant or too proud to say I was wrong? That's what hit me in that parking lot. Not the idea of dying, but the idea of people sitting in a room trying to figure out what to say about me and coming up short. I didn't talk about it right away, not even to my wife, but it stayed with me. And a few weeks later, I was having coffee with my neighbor, Tom. Good man, 76, lost his brother the year before, and I don't know why, but I asked him. I said, Tom, when you went to your brother's funeral, what did you feel? He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, I felt like I didn't know him as well as I thought I did. That stuck with me. Tom told me his brother had been quiet, kept to himself, worked hard his whole life, raised 3 kids, never complained. But at the funeral, people got up and told stories Tom had never heard about how his brother used to help at the food bank, how he'd drive an elderly woman to her doctor's appointments every Tuesday for 2 years, how he'd slip $20 bills into birthday cards for his grandkids and tell them not to tell their parents. Tom said, I lived 10 minutes away from him for 30 years, and I didn't know half of what he did because he never talked about it, and I never asked. He looked at me and said, Arthur, I don't want that to be me. I don't want people discovering who I was after I'm gone. I thought about that for days because I realized I'd been living the same way, not hiding exactly, but not sharing either, not opening up, not letting people see the parts of me that mattered, not because I was ashamed, but because it just seemed easier, safer, less complicated. But what Tom said made me realize something. If the people closest to me don't really know me, then what am I leaving behind? A name, a face in a photo, a vague memory of someone who was fine? I started paying more attention after that. Not in a sad way, just aware. I'd be at the grocery store and I'd see an older man, maybe my age, standing alone in the cereal aisle staring at nothing. And I'd wonder, does he think about this too? Does he go home to an empty house and wonder if anyone would come, if anyone would cry? I saw a woman once, sitting on a bench outside the library. She had a book in her lap, but she wasn't reading it. She was just sitting. And I thought, I wonder if she's lonely. I wonder if she's thinking the same thing I'm thinking. We don't talk about this stuff. We just carry it. But here's what I've learned. Thinking about your funeral isn't really about death. It's about life. It's about looking at the time you have left and asking yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? And more than that, who do I want to be right now while I still can? I started making small changes, nothing dramatic. I called my daughter more, not just the usual, how are you, everything fine, okay, talk to you later. I asked her real questions. I told her things I remembered, things I loved about her, things I was proud of. She cried the first time I did that. She said, "Dad, are you okay? Are you sick?" I laughed. I said, "No, honey, I'm just trying to be here, really here." I started being more honest with my wife too, telling her when something bothered me, telling her when I was scared, telling her I loved her, not just out of habit, but because I meant it, because I wanted her to know. And I started doing something I'd never done before. I started writing things down. Not a diary exactly, just thoughts, memories, things I wanted my grandkids to know, not advice, not lectures, just who I was, what I believed, what I wished I'd done differently. Because I realized if I don't tell them, they'll never know. And maybe that's okay for some people, but it's not okay for me. Not anymore. I'm not afraid of dying. I've made my peace with that. But I am afraid of disappearing, of being forgotten, or worse, of being remembered, but not really known. So I'm doing what I can while I can. I'm letting people in. I'm saying the things I used to keep to myself. I'm showing up. I'm being honest. I'm telling people I love them. I'm asking for forgiveness when I need to. I'm giving it when I should. Because when I think about my funeral now, I don't want people searching for something to say. I don't want them piecing together a version of me from scraps and guesses. I want them to know exactly who I was because I showed them, because I let them see me, not perfect, not without mistakes, but real, present, human. That's all any of us can really do. We can't control when we go. We can't control what people will say, but we can control right now, today, this moment. We can choose to be known, to be seen, to be loved, and to love back without holding anything in reserve, because in the end, that's the only thing that matters. Not the house, not the savings account, not the things we didn't say because we were too proud or too scared. What matters is the people we touched, the moments we were fully there, the love we gave when it counted. So if you've been thinking about this too, if that thought has found you, don't push it away. Sit with it. Let it ask you the hard questions, and then do something about it. Call someone. Write something down. Say the thing you've been holding back. Forgive someone. Ask for forgiveness. Be here. Be real. Be known, because one day that room will fill up and the people in it will talk about you. Make sure they have something true to say. Take care of yourself and the people you love. This is Arthur.